downstairs because that wanted to be phoned in, but unless there's any questions, we'll let him be.
Yeah, suffering silence.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's not doing, he's having some procedures.
And thank you everyone for, going back to this date because it did present a real problem for
That's no
Eric.
problem.
And we thank Eric for putting together another great budget for the fire department. One of the great many contributions that the chief makes is that he has a national reputation as a trainer. And so a lot of the training that the fire company receives is done internally by the chief and assistant chiefs, which does save the village a lot of money.
Question on the budget. First, Eric, did you want to say anything?
All right, so, I've been the architect of the budget probably for at least the primary architect for 6 years now. So, I mean, we get good at narrowing down what our costs are, we make adjustments, I think we didn't go up in contractual, which, this day and age, I believe is one of the biggest challenges, So for instance, we're gonna eliminate our fire department fax line, but that has a little to do with technology. It was a required component of the 911 system before, but, as technology is advanced now, we have tablets now. It's not a required component, so we'll just, and it seems silly, but a fax line is costing us almost $100 a month.
Yeah, that is expensive.
It is, but you know what, to maintain a line with Verizon, it's
That's
silly,
these
so,
days.
bang, get rid of that, we'll do our administrative faxing through the village. But not to say that that kind of cost is totally negated, in essence, we've made up for it, because now we have a wireless contract, to maintain these tablets, but we get real-time information through 911. We get a lot of real-time, intelligence, hydrant locations, anything we put into that now we have, which is, just an added safety component. We can put pre-plans of buildings, complexes, everything right on the tablets that are available at a moment's notice. Other than that, this is maintaining the services we provide. There's nothing here to increase as things age out, time out, things like that, they need to be replaced. Whether it be the, self-contained breathing apparatus, the personal protective equipment. As you see, some gas meters, as a matter of fact, we're down those gas meters now. We made some mid-budget year purchases just to get us there, but the other ones are, I have Andrew Patterson here, and he'll tell you, we have a couple that just are not maintaining the charges, they're not, so we're making do, but, we gotta get to them. The hose, we have piles of hose that has failed testing, which we do, and, so we're just trying to replace those things. I know one thing you guys always wanna know about is, grants. So last year we put in for a grant to replace, some self-contained breathing apparatus. About half of our stock is good, is a couple years old, but the other half of it is obsolete by anyone's definition. So we put in for a federal grant under the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. Last year we did not get it, so I put in for that again in the December range. I tweaked it, I went through some things. I will say, the way those grants are graded is, they go through a computer which checks the keywords, we always make it through that. And then it goes to a peer group, and if it makes it through both of those, then it's available for funding. And then that's when politics kind of come into, they try to, geographically spread them out, make sure each member of Congress gets enough there. Our grant made it through both of those hurdles and just was sitting there. And then when the funding runs out, then the remaining people get a letter. we've been successful with that grant before. Fort Montgomery was awarded that grant last year, which probably meant that we weren't gonna get one. But I will say, they were awarded a grant for things we got probably back in like 9 years ago. So it was right,
Spread it around pretty good, huh?
Right, but ours is a high priority. I tweaked it. I'm very familiar with that grant funding stream. 11 years ago we got our first on that, but we've been funded at least 3 times on that. Where I work, I work on that grant too, and we do that to get money to develop national training. So I'm working on 2 projects right now with NYU that are receiving $1.5 million from those grants we've got. So I'm very familiar with that funding stream. I would hope that this year will be successful. The grant's better than it was last year, and then, hopefully we'll be funded that way. And that'll take care of the self-contained breathing apparatus, which are a tremendous expense. Each unit is $5,000 without even counting the air cylinder that comes with it. So, when we talk about the major apparatus and that being something with the reserve funds, SCBA is so expensive, it really almost ranks up there with it, and the fire service is pretty highly regulated, and those are too. So it's not as if we can ignore those and that. So we're using them way beyond their lifespan. Some of the ones we have now, they were upgraded 10 years ago, but the reality is, we can't keep going on with them. So if we don't get funded, I think the equipment reserve we put away is eventually gonna have to replace them next year, probably. So let's just all cross our fingers and hope that funding stream comes through for that.
Are you on like a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan for your tanks?
So the tanks have a 15-year lifespan. They get hydrostated every 5.
Okay.
Yeah. The tanks are on that span.
Okay.
And that's just because of what their construction is, they have a 15-year lifespan. I mean, if it was a pure steel tank, which they used back in the day, but, debilitated, you're wearing it, that could get hydroed as long as possible. But since there's a carbon fiber wrap involved, they expire after 15 years, and we can't hydro test them, which by law you have to do. They have to be hydro, for good reason, too. I mean, they're 4,500 PSI, so you want to make sure
It's a
that...
rocket.
Yeah, exactly. You want to make sure that's all good. So that's the lifespan with those, and that's why we have 6 cylinders to go this year.
Any questions?
Just the laptop, is that for the office?
No. So tremendous amount of administrative things. So we equip the assistant chiefs with laptops. And myself. So we have the ability to do most of the things we do from home. Like, that's one of the things I like. At least I can be in my living room with my kids getting half the things I do done. So, we have an online records management. We have to report all our fire runs to the National Fire Incident Reporting System, which, is the law, and all these grants stipulate we do it. So we have to do that, and we now use a brand new integrated records management system with that, which will help us because we could get audited by PESH, and every 5 years we're probably going to get audited. We just got audited last year by insurance services offices, and that's an important audit because everybody's fire taxes are based on what they rate us on. So they want training, they want us to show them the training hours, all our inspections, everything we do, and we're able to produce that information through there. I think they were pretty happy with us.
And all of this helps to keep the homeowners in
Exactly.
fire
When you look at
insurance
your
down.
fire insurance, it'll say PPC, like Public Protection Classification, and there's a number right there, and that's based on, your fire department's rating. 40% of that grade is based on the water system, but the rest of it is on how many apparatus we have, and testing them, and
Meter,
training.
water meter too close to a house or hydrant, is that basically?
Well, they basically just, you know, since we have hydrants, they check our spacing and then basically give the village its own, and the testing of the hydrants too, which, you know, we'll try to look into, like, we don't flow test them, and we're gonna try to do that. The one good thing is you get like a report card out of it, but that went well. I mean, we've maintained our ISO 5 rating, that we had before, which we were worried about. I'll tell you honestly, there was some adjoining departments had got downgraded 2 grades, and so it was a worry of mine going into it, but we produced our records pretty well, and we're able to maintain the rating. Even bigger deal for the commercial properties on the insurance rating.
Do the assistant chiefs also do the grants?
We're gonna work together. I just became assistant chief,
Okay.
so we're gonna work together and work on the grants and put our minds together.
Oh, I got a question on
Sure.
compressor maintenance and generator maintenance. One, what's the compressor for? And,
The air compressor fills our,
oh, at
Yeah.
the house.
yes.
Okay, who does the maintenance on both?
So Gentech does the
Diesel?
generator
I'm sorry,
maintenance.
yep,
It's through a contract that you guys have with Gentech,
right,
but we just get a bill for ours.
okay.
We get a bill every time they come down and do
From
it.
Gentech?
Yes,
How often do they do
Okay,
it?
he wasn't sure you were going to.
twice a year, I
Twice a year?
believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So Gentech comes down and does it, but
Okay.
they, you know, carve our portion off and we get billed
Okay.
on that. And then, you know, it's obviously through the,
We're,
the air compressor needs to get at least, semi-annual, maintenance, and then quarterly, we need a certificate on the air quality, because that's what fills the
oh,
air
okay,
cylinders.
all right. I thought
So
it was-
Hate Fire is the one for that.
Okay, I just thinking compressor, what, I mean, but you're putting in
Oh,
air to breathe with,
yeah.
so rather
And you know
than
what?
blowing
So-
off an air
Yeah.
chisel or an air hose to fill tires.
No, so, and we just went to the PES seminar at the end of January, to always stay up to date on like what they're asking for. And and he told us like, exactly, one of the things, he comes in and if he sees the air compressor, he wants us to produce the clean air record right away or whatever.
Okay.
So,
All right,
obviously, we used the, you know, the contractor to do that, but that just reaffirmed for us, you know, we have to be on top of that.
Okay.
for the generator, we're asking department heads, even though it's a bigger contract, only because you guys know more of these people than maybe we do. We're asking department heads to try and float out possible savings from other vendors. Not that we're gonna switch, but
Yeah.
again, what we're doing was we're asking the departments to do that so we can show the public that it's a constant, we're constantly looking to better our number.
And
if-
we are, so
Right.
like the hose pump and ladder testing, we've been able to lower that over the past couple of years, because now we get a vendor too that comes in and does them all together at the same time. The other nice thing about this vendor is, the previous guy we used for ladders would just come in and say, this part of your, you know, this thing's broken, and then tell us we had to fix it and say, we're gonna come back. This guy just comes in, if the stickers are off of it or whatever, he fixes it, we're done. So we saved money there and we're getting a better product out of that, but almost all these things, we're you know, we're constantly trying to save money and
We're looking
and go
specifically
to
at the
it.
generators. What
Yeah,
I really want Eric
I don't
is-
know another vendor off the top of my head.
Peak
just-
Power, Middletown,
Okay,
if you're using Gentech now.
What I'm really looking for from you guys is exactly what you just said. And this is what I'm asking for all the department heads. When they give me a rundown of, we had 50 of these, 20 of these, 80 of these, nobody wants to hear that. What I think people really want to hear is what you just said. We went, and the hose guy comes in, and this and that, and we're paying less. And this is what else we did this year. We went and checked out this, this, and this, and we're doing better. And I'm not talking about for reports tonight.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when we do these reports at the meetings. I want the people to understand the work that you're putting into it. They think, they see you guys out on a call once a month, they think, well, these guys go out once a month. No, it's not that hard. They don't understand the training, They don't understand all the paperwork. They don't understand all the things going on behind the scenes. It's important, particularly around budget time, but year-round, that these people understand all the work that goes into, one, if we could charge enough, then we charge enough, but this stuff costs money. You know, and that's what we want these guys to understand. And it's much better coming from you, or even Charlie, than a board member, because you're the people that are doing the actual work.
And, you know, a lot of people don't know how much work we're doing, because right now the siren isn't sounding, I'm working on
Exactly.
that, but once again, I'm doing that to get the best price. I went to 2 bids on that, and I found the right one, and we're gonna do that. But in reality, we've done 34 runs already this year. I checked, that's, you know, the highest number for the end of February in the past 5 years. You know, it's as good as a call every other day, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does for the Highland Falls Fire.
It's big,
Right,
it's huge.
so, you know, and that's the reality of the situation, but we're constantly working on, you know, as you see, the contractual is a big part of the budget, so forever, I'm always working on that. So 5 years ago, we were spending $750 a month renting radios. We worked very hard, worked with some other vendors to either purchase the ones we had that were in good condition, so we assessed all the ones we had, and honestly, since then, we've operated with a budget of like $1,000 a year for radio maintenance, and it has worked out. We haven't had to replace any of those radios. A couple times a year, our vendor has to come down, but he's relatively inexpensive, and there's an example, you know, of what we're doing, always on contractual, to still get a good quality stuff, because, you know, in reality, the fire department has to operate, you know, with its equipment at a mission critical rate. So like, for instance, with the siren, I reviewed a couple bids on that, and one looked pretty enticing, and I was looking at it, and you know, I couldn't understand. I emailed it to Jerry Galoo too, to put our heads together, because of the device that they were speccing to convert the tone, and it was a, you know, simple digital logic controller. But once we delved deep into that and we looked at the specs on that digital logic controller, it wasn't even rated to operate below 32 degrees, you know, and we're gonna put it in a box on the pole, right? You know, so in some respects, we want to get a good price, but it would have been a
Gotta do it
vast
right.
mistake if
Exactly.
we didn't look into it right, and we would have put that thing out there that would have not worked.
Well,
You know,
in the summertime would have been great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually 95 degrees was its high,
Cut off,
so,
okay,
Oh,
so-
gee.
so it would have gotten hot in there too, and probably misfunction, so, you know, we also have to always keep that in mind. So, we have some very talented people that, you know, cover all the bases when it comes to that, like, for instance, when I was looking at that and trying to figure it out, I used some other expertise and we looked at it too, but, you know, that's where we're at with this stuff.
I have to ask this because I'm embarrassed to say I have no idea what it is.
Plimo vent. So, the hoses we connect to the exhaust system.
Oh,
That's a
oh,
fire. Oh, it's a,
Inside
yeah,
the
we're
fire.
in the
Yeah,
shop,
to
we're in the
extract
shop on the
that
inside,
exhaust.
okay.
Yes,
Okay. What is that?
well, I do know
it's
what they
called
are.
Plimo vent, yeah.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, you're required to do something with your diesel exhaust fumes, and those are systems. We received the system on a grant, so there was no outlay for it. So, you know, we just need to maintain it, you know, and keep it. And it's worked out very well, honestly. You know, if you're maintaining something in there, you can turn the rig on and not be breathing the exhaust fumes. So, yeah, that's what Plimo vent is.
No, supposedly 2 years, frequencies or whatnot are changing.
Yeah, the radios. Is the fire company getting a whole new radio system
All right,
that
so
the county is paying for?
the county has a interoperable radio communications project for emergency services. I'm on the working group for the fire side, so I've been involved in it for, you know, since the beginning. There's a number of systems out there in the county. There's a VHF paging system that will remain the same, but it'll become a lot more robust with some grant money that has come in for that. They're gonna link all the towers together with a microwave, so right now, They just have to select, you know, the computer already knows, but for Highland Falls, it selects the closest tower. Once they microwave synchronize those, it will be able to put it off every single tower at the same time because the timing will be perfect. It just allows for, you know, better redundancy and the like. So that's just the paging system will stay the same. You know, the pages we have will stay the same. The system that allows fire, EMS, and police to communicate with the 911 center is being substantially upgraded to a P25 compliant, which is the standard that you have to comply with to get any federal money, and it's totally made just so if you buy this system and your neighbor has a system, you're going to be able to talk to them. It removes a lot of proprietary things from radios. So that system's going to be involved there. It's a complex computer controlled system, but it's, you know, it's what the market uses now. You kind of have to do it because there's not a lot of bandwidth available, and it shares the frequencies at all times. So that system's going to replace pretty much everything that's out there. We very strongly advocated that, you know, the cost of those radios was too much to just ask the municipalities to go for.
Something like 7,500 apiece?
Right, so Rockland is online with theirs already, and it's worked out very well for them. But initially they were trying to do like by half, and the municipalities there were, you know, successful in getting the county to replace every single one. We've been able to do the same here. So all the low band radios we own now that will be replaced, and the one in the firehouse and the like will be replaced at the county's cost. We'll have to maintain them, but there are some good, it looks like there's going to be good extended warranties that will be much worth the money and things like that. So aside from very minor things, maybe changing our link upstairs, there's not going to be a major expense on that end for us.
That's why I wanna make sure in case we put it in the budget now.
No. Yeah, so we're well aware where it's going. The county has already authorized that money, so it's not like we have to make that fight right now. The fight was made, and the vote went well. So, you know, preliminary right now, fourth quarter of 2017, they hope to have the system online. They'll be building it. Motorola was awarded it. You know, they're the really only ones that responded to the RFP. There was an RFI, and there was 3 vendors that came back. Orange County is not the place that you really want to do your system. It's kind of, you know, Kansas. You want to, you know, do radio systems, but you know, the bid specified you had to have 95% coverage with a portable radio in the street throughout the county. Basically, they allowed some, you know, leeway in the major parks, but that's, you know, and that's a performance constraint of that. So Motorola is the only one that decided to respond after they got all the information. So that's where we're going. We're well aware it's where it's going to be, and we'll be ready for that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Charlie, anything else?
I didn't have anything else.
Bob?
Nope, that was it.
Brian?
So this is the final budget?
This is the final budget. You know, the one thing I will mention is we have remaining monies in our 02 and 04 this year, especially in the 02. We need to purchase those things that, you know, most of those things that are there. I mean, it's not a tremendous amount, but in you know, in the remaining 02, I'll tell you, we don't start the budget year off and buy everything because that would be silly in some cases, especially with the SCBA cylinders. I mean, I know that people think that you know, you'd be inclined to do that just in case the budget gets cut off, but like if I'm doing it on a cylinder that's expiring in May,
Right.
I've wasted months on the new cylinder. So.
And that money's still there
So we
for
have,
you.
no, I understand. So we have some cylinders, we have some life ropes that we have to because they're 10 years old, and that's again an ASTM standard that has no leeway with it. And you know, maybe the rope looks good, but if we ever put somebody on that rope and it broke, you know, you wouldn't want to be us. So, and that standard's based on 2 New York City firemen that died in 1980 when their rope broke. So you know, it's legitimate, you know, yeah.
You know, a question I get asked, I tell everybody I don't know, because I don't know. When you guys get contributions, that money goes into the firehouse, right?
Yes, I mean, that's really separate from the chief's job, but I'm on the board of directors too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's what we used to do, I mean.
It does.
Yeah, right.
it does. And as a member of the board of directors, I'll tell you right now, we put a tremendous amount into the building in the past couple of years.
Right.
And it's just the nature of the beast, the age of that firehouse. And that's what we talk about at board meetings. It's dominated by, this is problem here, we have an issue in the rear of the building pulling away. Leakages here, the roof has been patched,
We've redone the bathrooms.
which is good, and the front got a nice facelift, but constant process with that 50-year-old building there. And every time we turn around, there's something else, facing us with it. So, yeah.
Are you
A
looking
lot
at
is
the building next
spent on
door
it.
at all?
What?
Are you looking at the building next door at all? No, it's available?
Is it available?
Thought it was.
I know it's been touched at, so I don't know. I think it would be a great idea if it's within a good price.
Which one?
You're talking about the one up the hill.
Yes.
Oh, I thought the private house at the corner.
Oh, I think that's also available, but I'm talking about that one up there.
Which one's that?
The old metal shop.
Welder.
Oh,
Right.
right next door to the old, yeah, John's place.
There had been a proposal for Cross Fitness Center in there. I
Right.
know at one point it went to the planning board and ZBA pushed it along, but I didn't know the current status. It is separated by the right of way.
Right, a road.
Yeah, so it's not like there'd be any addition or anything in that realm, but yeah,
I was thinking more for your parking lot.
yeah.
I mean, we want to keep all options open, I know it's tight in there.
It is.
Not that we have a windfall of money, but I'm saying, if we keep our eye on the prize and something comes along, as
Yeah.
far as we hear from our representatives that something's there, we make sure that we have that connection. If we're not even looking, we'll never go for it, that's what I'm saying. Keep everything on the table.
Yeah, I mean, the house on the corner, if it ever, was at the right price, also makes a lot of sense for the fire department, because, we're right up against it too, but, yeah. But, and the discussions at the last department head meeting are good, especially in reference to the, potential for grants, if we can put a accessible bathroom on the, regular floor level in the firehouse, or any way secure the rear, where the generator is. Because there are some structural issues in there.
Well, that's the thing, if we
Yeah.
can work the mitigation so that it takes care of your structural at the same time.
Where the bathrooms
88
are in that
compliant.
firehouse
Right.
are an addition, and it's been explained to me circa mid-70s. It looks, the way that roof is tied in, it basically was tied into the fascia of the existing rear of the building, honestly.
Is the fascia bolted into the
And it has moved back.
fascia's pulling off the building?
No, it's where the roof is connected, so it pulled back enough that there was a gap there, there's
Okay.
cracks in the concrete in those, in the rear there.
Okay.
I brought an engineer in there during a function that's related to me, and we looked at it, and,
What was his take on
Hers.
hers, she,
I'm Take.
we didn't think it was gonna fall down tomorrow, but,
Okay.
but another engineer has looked at it, I mean, listen, it's not to be ignored.
Right.
It needs to be monitored,
Okay.
but, and work has to get done there, so,
That's why, yeah, definitely work the mitigation angle,
yeah.
because the very worst case scenario, to me, they're not ADA because of the stairs. Really, if we can, I don't know if you want it or not, but if they're gonna pay, you bring them down to the level.
Or
Fix
at
the
least
back.
one
Right.
there, the
Or even
discussion's
if you
been
put in
had
a
about
new ADA one on the other side.
having at least one ADA one there, and inclusion of a shower too, which.
Right. Which that might be better
No
off in your other room
firehouse
area.
should not have a shower, just based on able to decon and all the research we do about, engines, valves and stuff we do, so.
Exactly.
putting those two projects together would be a very good idea, and we have to be looking at, you know, if we can do that with that funding stream that's there. I mean, I've read that a bunch of times.
But you know what, don't even worry about it, check with Gary,
Right.
let this guy's gonna
Well,
guide us, he's gonna
Dominic,
help us.
yeah, no, I know. I mean, but I've read the funding stream, and I understand what it's about. It's about being ready for a similar type storm in this, but, yeah. But if we can make it work, it would definitely be worth everyone's while. Like we said at that department head meeting, you know, in the two instances in the past, you know, 10 years, or, you know, really just 6 years, where we needed a shelter, and ended up being it. Charlie was running the shelter, actually, but.
And we did have one individual sheltered there in a wheelchair. So in the middle of the night, I think it took 3 of us to carry the wheelchair up to the ladies'
Yeah,
room.
we did have that issue, yeah.
Inside the ladies' room now, there is good turning space, so that won't be a problem in the future, but getting it on one level, if we're to continue
And that
using
facility
it
is
as
the
a
one that
shelter.
makes sense to go with, only because of when these type of situations develop, you know, it's the facility that's staffed, and, you know, you're, you know, sharing resources with it, you know, and it has the cooking facilities and everything there, and the backup generator, you know, existing.
Am I correct, our emergency plan for the town has town hall as the incident command center?
You know, I don't know. I haven't looked at it recently to know if that's what it's listed as.
Because does town hall have a generator?
I don't know, but it had, in one of those instances when we were staffing the shelter, it had water running through the front door, so. I mean, there are a bunch of things you have to have, you know, the ability to, you know, set the phones up in there, have enough phone lines coming in too, which it does have, but, and it wasn't staffed that day, so, you know, that's something worth looking into.
How much money do you save by doing your own training?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you would spend, I mean,
Round figure. I don't wanna pin you down.
a couple thousand. I mean, we do, you know, our rope refresher ourselves, and everybody else pretty much brings a contractor in to do that. There are some things we pay for. We just did ice rescue, and we
But we
paid.
did it with Fort Montgomery.
For the first time, we did it with them, which makes all the sense in the world. They used the same contractor for it, and it was a good day. I did it quick and left, but you know, fire, both departments were there, EMS was there, and they all went back to the firehouse and ate afterwards. It seemed to go real well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really well.
It did as a group, you know, and the money saving I know is important to a lot of people. To me, the, you know, operational efficiencies you get out of that, and you know, and working together and all the parties, that's important, so.
No, it's not important to me.
Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting to let the public know, like the reserve fund. How do you get that money for the reserve fund?
Well, that's something we started a couple of years ago, setting money aside, because, you know, fire apparatus are major expenses, and the newest one is a 2001, so it's 15 years old. So,
All I'm suggesting,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting if the public started to know, you do your own training, you're saving money, you're doing grants.
no, we do.
I work with the school board. It's
Yeah.
amazing how you have to explain things to people, such as a non-funded mandate. I don't know how many more times to say that.
Yeah,
You
no,
take
no,
out the
no.
money,
I
but you
mean,
gotta do it.
Basically, everything we do is based on a mandate. Those training
Right.
hours are specified,
Right.
you know,
I just-
obviously it's a dangerous
Yeah.
business, so it is, but.
I understand that. I just think it would be nice if the
Yeah.
public understood sometimes what you're doing to save them money.
Understood, but, you know,
I'm gonna tell
here's
you
a
guys
home rule state, so
Yeah.
what this department does compared to that one, you know, I do get hired to go to fire departments and do the training all the time, and there's plenty of private companies out there that do it. We're lucky, we do get a lot at the county level, but, you know, we don't dictate when that's available either, so, we do almost everything in-house. I have compared ourselves to our neighbors and stuff like that, and I think we're tremendously efficient in that realm. I will say probably too efficient, you know? You know, for instance, we're behind the 8 ball when it comes to the gear. We gotta get that, like, we're ordering some, but
Yeah.
we should've ordered it already, right?
I just
You
think it's
know,
nice to
yeah.
keep your own horn once in a while, because people just don't understand fire companies.
Yeah.
But I'm off the soapbox now.
No,
Charlie? Brian,
we
anything else?
try, you know?
As you know, the CAP is really loving us. The one thing we're talking to departments about, we mentioned as part of that meeting, that we're looking for this year's budget to be less than last year's budget, because of the fact that we just don't have the money. My question to you is,
If you're gonna change anything, you gotta go with reserve.
That's
Because
well,
there's no wiggle room.
that's
in the
exactly what I
other
was
two,
about to
is
say.
what
My
I'm
question
getting
is, now, we're gonna be looking at it, I'm not giving any, if we don't touch equipment, we don't touch contractual, we match last year's reserve, would that kill
at.
you?
Right. Now, here, no, it won't, but here's how I came up with that reserve number. I determined how much we've saved and how much we need to make the purchase of those SCBA's that we put the grant in for. So, that's where we're at. We will be short on that money if we don't receive the grant, and that's where the reserve is. So we'll have to talk about that when that comes.
Right, and
But
that
that's-
8,000?
Like, it
Right.
wasn't just the number that made up the
Right.
1250,000, it basically, when I did the calculations,
It came out. to 50.
that's where we're at. So,
And I have no problem revisiting that when we come to that point and say, by the way, we did everything we could, we still need these,
Right.
we're gonna have to either dip into contingency or the A-fund reserve. That's fine, but for now, if we didn't
Okay.
touch equipment, didn't touch contractual, match the equipment reserve, that would bring you 5,000 below,
and it
Last
leaves you where you
year's.
gotta be.
and we'll get us where we had to be for now.
The
So-
only other thing I'd say too, and you've said this before, and I hope we're still on that, is if we do get that grant, let's not take that reserve, we gotta
No.
keep it there, because, like I said,
And this is where the department head
15-year-old
comes
fire
in.
truck's the newest one here. You know?
That almost needs to be like a reserve,
Yeah,
where, and I'm serious, where it's not your normal reserve. If we're gonna go out and I agree with 100%, I'm always there. If we're gonna make the effort and we pulled in $20,000, you can't take $20,000 away from us.
right.
I'm just asking for the 8 for the budget. If there's more money, you know Charlie's gonna be a bulldog about it and get it for you, bottom line. But, so that we can move forward on each budget, that's what I'm asking for. And Eric, it's gonna be up to you and the rest of the officers to just not fight about it, but just remind us of what we said. You get the money, you keep the money.
No, we understand, and that's the only place for the wiggle room. So, you know, where you gotta get yourself to be even with last year, it's gotta be done through the reserve. And like I say, we gotta, you know, not deplete the reserve, if that comes in, because anyway you scratch, that new fire truck's $500,000.
Should
You know, it is, that's what they are, even affordable ones. You know, I see what everybody else is paying for theirs, so, and not even talking about top tier ones, you know, so, you know, we're doing what we can with what we got, but, we can't be naive enough to think that we can continue without replacing a major one in the next 5 years.
I believe you're doing an excellent job. You're not just doing what you can do.
Yeah,
You're doing an excellent job with, in a budgetary time, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was so much easier. You just say, hey, we want this, and you get that. And no one was really, you know, though we're trying to keep taxes low, you weren't constrained. If we had to go an extra percentage, we went an extra percentage. It's not the case now. You guys have met the challenge, and you're going on the other end even harder with your grants and fundraising, and I think that's important. And that's why I bring up the 2 buildings. Let's not take them off the plate. If something comes around, we, you know, by being able to go after them now means that we don't have to do something 15 years from now, because we've already grown. Any other questions?
Mayor,
Ed?
Yes. Ed?
the reserve fund structure, though, I think needs to be talked about a little bit more.
Okay,
Remember, one of the things that the board decided 2 years ago when you started reserve funds is to make sure that you have equitable distribution so that, you know, equipment as well as machinery, vehicles, and so on are funded. If there's a grant outstanding, what I would recommend you do is properly fund the fire truck and the command vehicle with an expectation that the grant fund, then you can repurpose that toward the equipment by a board action. And that way, if the grant does come in, the reserve funds for the truck and the command vehicle continue to grow. Otherwise, you'll be back in the same situation you were when the request for these things came up and there was no money.
I agree. I mean, if we want to earmark those two because those were the two funds we put in the beginning. We had command vehicle and then the major apparatus one. I kind of insisted on the
Apparatus
command
reserve is the
vehicle.
truck.
Right.
Apparatus, right? We have
The
3 major
big
pieces
truck.
of apparatus, and we have 2 command vehicles. The oldest command vehicle's an 08, right?
Yeah.
So we're not in dire straits right there, but
But this way,
but the money should be there, because honestly, we almost, especially when it comes to the command vehicle, we feel as if, we're going out of our way to explain where it is definitely a necessity. So if the money's there, it makes it easier.
how much is the money that you're going for?
Previously it was more, but the way I have it, I believe it's in the $100,000 range.
Okay.
It
So-
is a 5% matching, so I'm not sure if that they're gonna fund us 96%, and locally it's, whatever it is, our share is 5%, which is a bargain in
Right.
these grant days, yeah.
So we're looking at possibly, and again, as Ed said, we'll repurpose if we don't get the funds, but, so what you're talking about is possibly 10, to be safe, 10 in equipment reserve, and then split the rest, or however you wanna split it, for your apparatus.
No, I
and
think
your
Ed's
command vehicle.
saying, don't put it in equipment,
But you
Take it in.
need 5%, because we have 5% matching, right?
okay,
You don't
I'll
wanna
find
not
out
do
what the
that.
matching number
Okay.
is, and we'll put
Because I don't wanna
that,
sell you short.
right, so I'll find out what the matching is, and we put that in equipment reserve.
Yes.
And then we divvy the rest to
Let
apparatus.
us know what you
and
want in
command
apparatus
vehicle.
and command vehicle.
All right.
Okay? Good?
Yeah, Ed, do you like that idea?
Yeah, I think that's better. I think the only question the board's going to have to consider is whether or not with this year's budget they're going to be able to support $50,000 for reserve funds versus a smaller sum. I'm not saying $20,000, but if it comes down to needing to find $5,000 or $10,000 to get the budget to even out, that might be something they might have to talk about when we get to the after the tentative. But as far as laying out the money for the truck and the command vehicle, with the understanding that the board could repurpose that if you don't get the full grant amount or you are short funds, yes, that's exactly I think what we should be doing.
I think the mayor was saying to drop the reserve down to the level of last year.
Which is 8,000 drop. And I'd rather, can we go for that today? Because I don't want to leave here and then find out I'm only getting 32 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I think, I don't know, there might have been some discrepancy between what was asked for and what was given. The adopted budget, I believe, was for 45, 5, and 5. I'm going to look at it right now while we're talking.
You're hurting us, Ed.
We've
You're not
got
helping us.
42,
We're down to 42, Ed, leave it where it is.
and I think the medication's getting to you.
Maybe that's what it is, guys, I don't know.
Well, we're not, until we actually discuss, we can't guarantee exactly what the number is, but I'm comfortable being below last year's number, where it's not going to adjust
Yeah.
any, at all, to me. I'm okay.
We stay at 42.
Correct. And that'll be, whatever we have to put in equipment reserve to cover the 5% or whatever percent Eric lets us know it is, that stays in equipment reserve, and then he will give us his recommendation for command vehicle and apparatus reserve. That way, because those need to be populated yearly so that we don't,
And Ed's numbers are correct. It's 45, 5, and 5.
He's always right that time.
no, but he's not. He's wrong because he shouldn't have brought it up. We just lost $3,000.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like
and
Eric's numbers better.
one of my concerns when it comes to the reserves is, I mean, at what point do we at least start making at least some of that money untouchable? So like,
oh, we did last year.
Right, so what's in there now for like the command vehicle, you cannot be touched, okay. I like that.
Correct,
What?
Ed?
Oh, well, that's 90% true. The board still has to authorize the reserve funds to be populated with this year's budget money. You have until April 30th, or actually April 25th, to do that. But it's my understanding that unless there is some other consideration by, let's say, a repair coming up in the fire department, those monies would be sent over this year. But you have budgeted for it, but there's two steps. You budget, and then you have to resolve to put it in the reserve.
Right, and that's the concern on our end, that I budgeted, I don't get that money for anything else. I hope if I don't touch it, that it ends up that way, and that's just like, I
Well,
don't
we've
have
done it a
check
couple
on it.
times actually, and that's actually what Ed's saying. It's not so much the police are gonna take your money,
Yeah.
or DPW's gonna take your money, but if you have an unforeseen, the truck broke in half, we had to get some.
Well, we had that issue
Yeah.
last.
Right, and then that will come out of
We had to
it.
repower the engine.
We
Right,
were able to use that funding.
and that's where it comes out of.
We blew, a spring through the,
Right.
inside of the engine block, and we had to repower the diesel
Exactly.
fire.
And that's why
2
it
years.
came out of that,
2 years.
but then the rest went into the reserve fund.
Right, okay.
So you don't lose it, but your different fund may need it, but it's yours. It was your decision to make.
So, at some point when it's clear, it'd be nice for me to know what the balances are in those funds. Maybe at the end, in June, it'd be nice to know where those funds stand and like,
Man, that
yeah.
takes, the way Ed's got it set up takes 5 minutes to figure it out.
Okay. No, it's good for planning purposes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Brian, Charlie, good?
Good.
Ed, you good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you guys very much, I appreciate it. Need a motion to go on exec?
Motion to go into exec.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
But